Okay, Marcelo Korc, Sustainable Development Environmental Health Advisor, Pan American Health Organization. Human security is a framework that has been developed for the past about 20 years in the UN system. The roots is in the issues regarding peace and conflict and development and the lack of human rights in certain aspects in different countries. The way that got developed since the 1990s is through different agendas for peace, sustainable development, and the Millennium Development Goals in the year 2000. And slowly but surely, as is the process in the UN system, they started to create a committee on human security. They created this concept in a paper, a white paper, really a report that came out in 2003 on human security now, which lays out all what human security is all about. And really, in one statement, is really about taking care of those basic conditions and basic issues that we need to live and work on, to the fact that it's not just about growth, like development, but it's like we are sure that those conditions will make people and societies be secure, even if they are under very non-secure conditions. Those conditions can vary. The committee defines 7 different conditions that people really can be under situations of lack of security. One of them is economical. It can be political. It can be food security. It can be health security. It can be personal security. It can be community security as well. Examples of each of those will be, for example, the issue of food security is definitely lack of food. And therefore, people not having access to food, it's an issue of security. Economical is lack of work, lack of jobs, is what creates an unsecure situation. In regards political security, if there is an autocracy or dictatorship, for example, that may create a situation of that it's a non-security, of lack of security. Community will be ethnic cleansing or religious issues. There will be a community type of security. Health security is, for example, the issue of lack to access to healthcare services. So those are different aspects of health security. What makes difference this type of security is that it's people-centered. It's not centered on the state, but it's centered on the people. So we need to understand from the people point of view, really what are their needs. Participatory needs assessment to really understand what are their needs and to be sure that when we know that there is a particular issue, let's say violence, for example, that we know that there are violent situations, a conflict in certain communities, that will be associated with other type of securities like food or economical or health. So we cannot only take one aspect in particular and forget the rest, but we really need to take that particular aspect that is the centerpiece and start to be sure that all the other ramifications of that particular aspect are being taken care of. Okay, the main difference is that in a border, just by definition of the border, you're dealing with 2 systems because of the border. You have 2 systems that you can say there are different political systems in borders between 2 countries. Also, there are cultural systems. There are 2 different cultural systems that can be defined by different languages, by different societies, different behaviors of the society because the systems are different, and combined with the fact that people move freely or easily between one country and the other. That really is what is making that a complex issue versus a one particular city in which the people are from within one system. So that's what we really need to be careful when we are in a border area, that we are really paying attention to the different systems that are in place, and that we also pay attention to the mobility that the society and the people have in the border area. Examples, for examples of this particular scenario, it will be that, as we mentioned, you have 2 different political systems, or a person that crosses from one country to another. They can have, for example, goes from one particular, let's say, health system and healthcare service that they understand, and they have to cross and they're here and they are under other conditions in which they are insecure, that they don't really know how the system works or that they do not have access to it. And therefore, that's what makes the situation complex. It is our hope that this particular issue of the journal, with different evidence-based articles of studies that have been done with regard to different aspects of human security, they really start to put like a little grain in developing a really nice flower and plant to really understand what human security is all about. The human security is a fairly new concept that we are trying to develop within the UN system and to be implemented in the countries through policies, through programs, through projects. Therefore, is our hope and expectation that this particular issue will start to help on that, create some evidence to how to think. We know and we are sure that we are not presenting already something that's already well established. And that's really in part what we want to show, that human security is an in-development type of process, an in-development type of concept. And we are just now gathering evidence to maybe in the future be sure of what type of evidence should be or should not be there to really say that we are working within the framework of human security. Depends the issue that we have. It will depend the sectors. But the most important thing is to understand the leadership of the really human security framework. The leadership of that human security framework that will help us develop the policies, that will help us develop programs at the local level, at the state level, or at the federal level, definitely will be in the hands of the mayors, of governors, of the presidents of the federation. That is what it will be crucial. Without that leadership, unfortunately, I think that the human security concept may not work because of the multi-sectorial nature of the way that we need to work within human security. So let's take an example. Let's say that a particular community has a violent conflict, that the mayor of that particular community wants to use that human security framework in order to move forward their policies, local policies and programs. Therefore, will enter through the door of the violence and conflict, but definitely is going to have to think that that violent conflict will be related with other issues. For example, we are seeing it now in the violent conflict in Ciudad Juarez when we're working in the community centers, that even though we are trying to work with the community health workers with the and the community members on issues of how to manage their conflict in a peaceful manner, that the people, the community, they are telling us that they're hungry. Therefore, in order to work on the violent part of the security, we also may need to work, or we should work, on the issues of food security. May not happen in some circumstances, but that's really will be the right scenario to do under the human security framework, because that also will help maybe to create jobs in the market if we create either type of places that they can cook, the women can go, and it's also a gender-based issue. So there are many things that they get combined that is not just, if you realize, about the violence per se, but is together with gender equity, is together with economic security, is together with food security, and started from a violent conflict. So that will be an example of how we should consider that from a multi-sectorial point of view on a particular example. But each example will be different, and we should analyze how it is in each circumstances.